One thing I'd run across, I don't know if I'd mentioned this in a previous video, when you go to buy or order your cam bearings, there's going to be a crossover of years. Similar issue when you're doing your head bolts, head studs. There's going to be a crossover, and what they'll have is what they're going to call it a first design or second design for your cam bearings. Naturally, I have a 2002 block, which is right in the middle when they're starting to do all these changeovers with designs on the links on the head bolts, apparently the designs on the cam bearings. I'm going to keep my eyes open just in case there's any other design changes that I need to be aware of. But I went to Star and picked up a set of these. I went ahead and got the Durabond high performance cam bearings, and the reason why I did this is because, number one, LS engines, as far as my research can show, they're really hard on cam bearings, and I don't know for sure if that's an oiling issue. I don't know if maybe the cam bearings are, not a priority oiling position in the flow. I don't know. I haven't verified that cause or the root cause for why they tear up cam bearings so bad. But that was one of the main reasons why I was taking my block to have cam bearings put in it, because the cam bearings just look like crap. I mean, we pulled the factory cam out and I was like, these things look like they've been run over by a concrete truck, and not in a good way. So, there's no way I was going to run those. But I wanted to go a step above just your normal, just replacement cam bearings. I wanted to put something in that had a good reputation from a good reputable brand and could handle the spring pressures I'm going to run, and hopefully that'll help them last a little bit longer. So I went with the Durabond high performance cam bearings, and when I went up to Star to pick them up, of course the guy hits me with the, well, is that first design or second design? And I'm like, man, I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to gamble that because I've got that first design head bolt, or in my case, head studs, I'm going to just buy the first design, and if they don't match up with what I'm pulling out of the block, I'll come and trade you out and get the other one. So I got really lucky there. I can't guarantee that that's going to be the case for everyone, but I did have a block and heads that use the 3-length head bolts. So because I had those 3-length head bolts, I just assumed, okay, that's the first design on the head bolts, first design on cam bearings. Everything worked out great. So, and like I said, I took them, every single one. There's 5 cam bearings. I checked every single one of them, and they matched up 100% with the oiling holes, the outside diameters. Everything matched what I pulled out, so I'm in good shape. If you'll look in the middle of the table, that's just 4 of those comp beehive springs that I'm going to use. I apologize because right before I made this video, I had the part number in my head, and just like a old man usually does, I get in the middle of making a video and I can't remember the stupid part number. But it's basically the comp beehive springs, good to 600 lift with a, it depends. If you look on Comp's website, they say it's 125 pound seat, but I also see these springs advertised a lot at 130 pounds on the seat. So anyway, if you'll just look, grab one out of the box here, look at the difference in the quality. Just, you can tell just by the shiny texture on it. Look inside the end of it. Look at the quality difference between a Comp Cam's valve spring and that stupid Speedmaster junk that I was going to try to run. That was one of the most learning experiences of my life, was that junk I bought from Speedmaster dual spring. So Anyway, it's going to have the beehive, you know, small, lightweight retainer. I do have, I don't know if you can see that, the back side of the video, the vidya, the guy on, but I've got the factory separated. I have the factory separated locators and locks off of those 241 cylinder heads. They were not the top hat design, which I have seen on several LS heads. These were actually the separated ones, which I kind of like better. So I got those. I went ahead. Here's a issue I had. Let's see if I get the part number so you guys can see it. I had an issue because I wanted to buy a cheaper brand. I can't remember if it was Engine Tech or I don't know. Star had a cheaper brand, like a $10 cheaper per set, positive seals, and they did have the top hat design with the integrated positive seal and spring locators. But for some reason, they only came, they fit a 490 thousandths guide. But if you take and measure the top of, or that guide on those 241 heads and those 862s, that's a 500 guide. If it was a normal positive seal that has like, it looks like a band around the outside that's not connected, you could probably force those 490 seals on a 500 guide. But because of the design characteristics of the positive seals that I'm running, they have that solid metal ring, and I'm like, there's no way I'm going to try to force something made like that that's, you know, 10 thousandths off. I'm just not going to do that. So I just went ahead and paid the $27.19 or whatever it was for these 511-16 Viton GM LS1 positive seals, which will match up perfectly with the locators and locks that I have here. We've already talked about the cam bearings. As far as engine bearings, I really talk up going to Star because I love being able to go and touch the parts that I buy. I'm really hesitant to buy a whole lot of parts off the internet because I hate the hassle of trying to send them back and get what I want if they don't send me what I need the first time. Or I could possibly make a mistake and order the wrong part. I don't like that hassle, so I like to go and touch when I'm buying. I wanted to get the Clevite. Clevite sells a series of bearings. And some of you older engine guys will remember the old Michigan 77 tri-metal bearings. I like those bearings. I've had good luck with them in many different flavors of engines, from Ford to Chrysler to Chevrolet. I just have had good luck with those. So I was able to pick up a brand new set of the Clevite P series bearings, which are the tri-metal bearings, exactly like the old Michigan 77 series. But as usual, Star sometimes doesn't always have the greatest inventory. They didn't have the main bearings in that same series, and rather than buy just a dirt cheap King bearing, and I am not in any way talking down on King bearings, King race bearings, like they're high performance and ultra performance, they're high quality bearings. I've used them in the past in some, you know, high horsepower builds, but I don't really want to run their just bottom of the line entry level bearing on this engine. So I went ahead and got some ACL main bearings for it, and I think they're going to work out good. They look like a good quality. Everything I've seen looks good on them, and the reports look good. I don't know if you guys noticed in the video, I picked up a set of Victor Wrens. Ooh, that's really close to the camera. Hold on a second here. Let me move you back just a hair. I picked up a set of Victor Wrens MLS gaskets. Okay, right now I guarantee you, if you're an LS person, the first thing you're saying is, why aren't you buying the LS9 gaskets for the supercharged engine? I'm going to tell you exactly why. I chose to go with this gasket for two reasons. Number one, I wanted an MLS gasket. I also wanted an MLS gasket with a polymer sealing coating on the gasket. But more importantly, I wanted a ring to match my cylinder bore. Because I have, from personal experience, you don't want to run a head gasket that has a 4.1 whatever, because those LS9 gaskets have a fire ring in there that's designed for a 6.2 liter bore. When you put a real big fire ring bore on a tiny little 3.78 cylinder or bore on your cylinder, what happens is that space in between your cylinders gets really narrow, and it makes it easier to burn a head gasket in between these center ports. If you put a huge fire ring on that little tiny bore, that little sealing surface gets too thin, and I don't like it, especially with a turbo. Now, I fully understand, and I don't, knock the people that are running those LS9 gaskets on a 5.3 or a 4.8 bore. I'm just personally choosing not to do so, and I'm moving forward with the Victor Wren's gasket, which I think has a 3.85 ring, what do they call that, fire ring in the head gasket, which is going to match my block and my bore much better. It's going to allow me to maintain a tad more of that compression that I'm losing with the bigger chambers on the heads. I got a lot of different reasons, because I do a lot of thinking and I try to map everything out as best I can. So anyway, that's where we're at on that. I hope everybody understands why I made the decisions I made. Get this camera back up here just a hair. I wanted to wrap this up real quick because we're already hitting the 13-minute mark. I wanted to show you that I did get the Pro Comp. Sorry, they changed their name because they're trying to be slick. The Speedmaster 3-piece head stud kit. We have gone through and inspected every thread and every part of these head studs. They're excellent. Me and Richard both took turns looking at them. Can't find a single thing wrong with them. There was no misstamped, like on the internet you'll hear about the nuts that go on the studs will be stamped off center, or something weird, or you'll have a boogered up thread, or maybe they didn't thread it all the way, because that can happen. But this particular set has been checked out and is in excellent shape. These rings, Engine Tech. These are factory GM style rings, and what I mean by that is the top ring is steel. It's not ductile iron, it's steel. Factory GM LS rings have a steel top ring, and we all know that style and that setup handles a lot of power and a lot of boost. My decision, I'm following the factory's lead and running these Engine Tech GM style piston rings. They will be gapped. Right now I'm tentatively setting them probably 24 thousandths, 24 thousandths, and probably 15 to 18 thousandths on the oil control. But I want to make sure I have enough clearance to not pop the ringland on those crazy hyper-eutectic factory pistons. So I'll probably do the math one more time before I file fit